private sector, as the private sector arm of the ICD group in Saudi Arabia. Please give a warm welcome to His Excellency Khaled Al-Aboodi.
Should be conducted from time to time and in a comprehensive manner. So we just don't ask or focus on whether this particular investment or project is Sharia compliant or not. We need to ensure that the industry meets the expectation of its client. Technically speaking, the question that needs to be addressed is whether the industry is what we really aspire to have. Ladies and gentlemen, an important outcome of the financial crisis was that it's not only helped to raise interest in Islamic finance, but also assist in realizing some new aspects of the industry which for many were not readily known. Prior to the crisis, the interest in Islamic finance was purely due to the liquidity exists on the system. And the idea was really how to make use of that liquidity to fuel the world economy. The crisis shifted the focus on another feature of the industry, namely being resilient to strong external shocks, such as we observed during the crisis. People are still asking about the reasons behind the fact that most of the Islamic banks were fairly unaffected by the crisis, and whether that was due to better risk management system or was because of certain features of Islamic finance that protected it from being dragged with what most of the conventional bank went through. While for many there are still questions to be answered, the issue to be addressed urgently is the feature of Islamic finance that made up the system, and whether there are real lessons to be learned from a system that have characteristics of Islamic finance. The answer to the above questions really show whether the system is sustainable and globally applicable, not simply to just satisfy needs of a particular segment of human beings, namely Muslims. If these questions are not answered, and it does not show the readiness of the policymakers, especially in the more developed world or also major financial institutions, to examine a different financial system from their own. Therefore, it would be very difficult to imagine how the interest would ever arise to a point that countries around the world would be ready to adopt more positive approach towards Islamic finance, except for reason trying to tap additional liquidity which exists under such a system. In this case, the bigger question is whether the world is ready to take Islamic finance more seriously, or are we still far from that, given the fact that even some of the Islamic countries themselves are not considered to be true promoters of it, which makes the picture even more gloomy. Then who is to take the responsibility of showing the true value of Islamic finance and the way it can add value to the advancement of the world economy? Even more challenging question is whether we, as the practitioners, are ready to take responsibility. Do we feel comfortable to raise this issue, or do we still feel that Islamic finance is at an early stage of its development and not yet proven way of banking that is sustainable? Over the years, and almost every Islamic finance conference that I have attended, there were always a celebration of phenomenal growth of Islamic finance. And yet the size of the industry is still about 1% of the world banking assets. That by itself shows how much work is expected from the promoter of Islamic finance to do. But who are those promoters which we are talking about? Are they the 2 or 3 Islamic countries that stand ahead of others in supporting the industry? Or are they the 1 or 2 Western countries who are hoping to be financial centers of Islamic finance to capture the excess liquidity to fuel the world economy? Are they the Islamic banks themselves, which are fairly new and have responsibility toward their shareholders to achieve profitability and compete with everybody else in the banking industry? Or are they the Sharia scholars who are working very hard to allow the industry to grow while preserving the compliance issue? All of the above plus the consulting firms are important players, but it may take them years to achieve a reasonable size of the industry, given the current pace of development. For me, the promoter of Islamic finance should be the development finance institutions, being multilaterals, regional, or bilaterals, with a mandate to promote public and private sector domestically or internationally. If these institutions understand the true value of Islamic finance and discover its potential impact on development, they will definitely look into adopting it in their business model. The Islamic Development Bank and its affiliates, known as the Islamic Development Bank Group, are doing just that, not only because of their mandate necessitated doing business in a Sharia-compliant way, but also because that over time it has been proven that this is the best model to promote development at both private and public sector level in its 56 member countries. By keeping the development mandates in their minds, development finance institutions should approach Islamic finance with open minds. They can call it any name they wish, as long as they preserve the principles of underpinning the system. However, they need to understand these principles first and then try to implement it. They should also be patient for result measurement and its development impact. After all, there are conventional development finance institutions that have been there for more than 6 decades, and the results achieved by them in promoting development and fighting poverty, according to their own estimates, are still mixed. When it seems that it is the right time to give principled Islamic finance a try. Allow me lastly to emphasize that by approaching Islamic finance in this way, it becomes apparent that it suits everybody regardless of their faith or belief. Therefore, Islamic finance, as a development finance, has a lot to offer. The role should be understood more by the institutions that care for development. I hope with this simple message that all of us strive to have a better understanding of what Islamic finance can offer for development. Thank you very much. I wish you success.
Your Excellency Al-Aboodi, thank you very much indeed for your key message in there in trying to understand a bit more the issues of Islamic financing. Now, we move on to the second session of the day. It's the keynote plenary session. It's an industry leader's perspective, rethinking growth strategies in the context of the global economic crisis. I'd now like to hand over to the session chair. Please give a warm welcome to the Managing Director and Head of Issuer Services, EMEA at Citi, Andrew Mully.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the second session of the day, Rethinking Growth Strategies in the Context of the Global Economic Crisis. We have a distinguished panel who I would like to introduce and also ask if they could kindly join me on stage at this time. We have Al-Aboodi from the Gulf Finance House. We have Khaled from the Bahrain Islamic Bank. And Dr. Ben Brad from IBM Global Business Solutions. Let's put some context to the situation over the past 18 plus months. Overall securities issuance from the GCC region has grown considerably during 2009 over 2008 by more than 300% in dollar value. This includes the recent $7 billion issue from the state of Qatar, which is the largest ever issuance from the emerging markets. On a broader view, Citi estimates that between the fourth quarter 2007